there anybody who would like to start? Otherwise, I'm starting. One friend wrote me that they had some kind of spiritual crisis. That actually they had been busy for nearly 40 years with spiritual matters from childhood on. And then coming across Atma Vichara, self-inquiry, doing inquiry, and doing worships and pujas, the whole spiritual number. And now they had to undergo a not so easy operation. And when coming out of the operation, it was very difficult. Even before the operation, they were preparing, praying, not necessarily for the success of the operation, but to be capable of remaining connected with the self, connected with the timeless now. But then waking up from the operation, it was so difficult to breathe that it was getting a real struggle just to take a breath. And first trying all the old usual tricks, spiritual tricks, how to deal with difficult situation, they just didn't work. And it was getting, the mood was getting worse and worse, and then it was just a struggle for hours just to take the next breath. After some hours, it seems that passed. But now that left an impression. Somehow doubts were creeping up in the mind. Yeah, now I did all this spiritual work, all these years. Was it all in vain? Because once when it's really getting hard on hard, then it doesn't work. Was it all useless? All these years of connecting, self-reflection, introspection? And of course, the answer to that is no. Of course, it was not useless. First of all, in the situation, the panic would have most probably been much worse. But anyhow, the situation passed. The connection starts again. It's not surprising. I mean, maybe somebody who is totally rooted, immersed in the self, can also in such a situation be very patient and relax and just connect and see what happens. But as long as we are on the way, everybody has their breaking point. If the body is just hurting too much, at a certain point, the only thought that remains is somehow to deal with it, somehow to survive it, or then have the desire to get out of it and not to survive it. It's not a reason, if that happens after that, to think that all the work before the spiritual work was useless, because at that time I was not capable to connect, to relax, to be at ease in spite of physical discomfort. And if it's getting too much, then somehow the mind is just totally pulled there and focused. And it's certainly not easy to detach from that. So if that such a thing happens, I mean, this is an extreme situation. That person had to really struggle for every breath, and then all that was in the mind was to think how to take the next breath. No wonder that at that time it was not possible to relax and to connect. But that is not the problem. This period was certainly painful, but it has passed. But now, if in the mind a doubt settles in and that idea is there, but is it all useless? Then that can really do more harm than what that experience did. Actually, that experience was an experience of pure intensity, and nothing of all that intensity that was experienced then is lost. We are accumulating it all. No pain, no struggle, no drop of it is ever lost. On a place where it matters, it's all building up, stored up, and eventually, somewhere, somehow, everybody can start to consciously reap the fruit of it. But if after such an experience, then the doubt sets in, well, is it worth it all? Is it all nonsense? Should I just stop it? Have I wasted my whole time? I mean, such thoughts will come to everyone sometimes. But if we keep holding on to them, then they can become real handicappers. That they don't allow us anymore to relax and just get up from wherever we have been and continue on our way. Nothing is ever in vain, nothing is ever lost, even if we have moments where it's not obvious. It's all there. So, if ever such doubts come in one's mind, see those doubts. Don't believe them, but just observe them. Observe what they are doing to you right now. Physically, energetically, emotionally, intellectually, and relax. Don't hold on to those doubts. It's just the mind, that sneaky mind, that sneaky old habit that somehow one aspect of the mind doesn't want to let go. That's why this whole spiritual path appears to be so difficult often, because one aspect longs for freedom. It's natural, it's there in everybody. One aspect longs for freedom, for infinity, for not being limited in perception, and let the experience unfold and unfold freely. That longing is there. But then the old habitual aspect in the mind doesn't want to give up, always afraid, if I let go, then all is lost. What's remaining at the end? And so it's always that pull and push between those two aspects. If they were not there, we just could relax and the whole job is done. And that sneaky part of the mind who doesn't want to give up always tries to find new means to handicap. But we are not breaking old limitations. And it's just a trick of the mind of not wanting to give up, that we hold on to doubts like this. I mean, they will spring up. Doubts, everybody is doubting sometime on the way. Let them come, see them, smile about them, and let them go. And then there is no problem. The problem starts if we hold on to, if we don't want to let them go, and if we handicap all further opening because of that. It's happening. I mean, these doubts are coming. How often I had doubts, I was struggling, thinking, Something must be totally wrong. I'm doing all wrong. Otherwise, something would happen. Would go after Amma, tell me what's wrong. Or then I would complain that I'm sitting. What's the point? Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's peaceful, but then I get up, somebody insults me, and boom, I'm reacting still in the same way like before. What's the point? That it's useless. And she somehow always managed to inspire me to continue, making me clear. Even if you think not much has changed, I can see so clearly how everything is changing in a good direction. And you, at least you are aware now of what's going on in the mind. So that's totally a different situation than when the mind just goes on repeating the same things over and over, unaware, and creating more and more barriers. Sometimes we may go through periods where really it seems that nothing is changing, it's always the same, and yet subtly, still, continuously, something keeps on changing, getting subtler, preparing that again a new opening can be there. And then come also times where you feel, it's really seriously, stuff is dropping up. It's getting lighter, the whole experience, it's getting broader, it's getting easier. So don't let doubts get rooted in the mind. When they come, let them come. Don't try to suppress them. See them. Aha, I see you. I know you. Smile about them. Don't even fight them. Just watch. And then as they come, they stay for some time, they simply go away. It's worth all the efforts, but we can learn to make our efforts playfully. It need not be a terrible story where we are grinding our teeth all the time. We can playfully just continue, remind us, connect, 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 and relax. Connect and relax. And then playfully go from day to day and wait and see what happens. All right. Is there anyone who would like to ask something? Please come in. I hope you could hear all this that I was telling. And I see there are 36 people here.
Every word, Werner. Thank you.
You could hear every word. Good. So if there is any doubt in the mind, sometimes it's good to talk about it. So if anybody feels like talking about something, don't feel shy.
Hi, Werner.
Hello,
It's Victor here.
it's Victor from Australia, huh?
Ah, yeah. Well, I live in Australia.
Yeah, you are now talking from Australia.
I am.
Yeah.
You said something interesting just before about being in doubt and sometimes feeling doubtless. When I'm alone, you know, I look at the sky and I feel a sense of connection where I just don't feel any sense of doubt. I have a strong sense of feeling in place amidst the endlessness and the incredible experience of Maya that we're all going through at the moment.
Yeah,
Yet at the same time, when you try to get on with the everyday aspects, it's like everything is pushing you into a sense of doubt at the same time.
Hmm.
And I find my freedom because I cycle everywhere. When I'm on my bicycle, I don't have any doubt, but
Yeah.
because I'm there.
Yeah,
Yet at the same time, doubt's constantly being pushed upon all of us by the media, you got to put on the mask, you got to do this, you got to do that, and if you're not doing it, you're doing the wrong thing, and it's like you don't want to let things creep in too much, but at the same time you want to pay respect because we have to be respectful to the process. So it's almost like there's a sense of doubtlessness at the same time. Am I doubting that I'm playing the game? No, yes. And it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging because it raises quite important questions. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, actually, on the phone, that was saying, wow, Maya is so strong right now. You know, whew, I can feel that power. Yeah. But at the same time, I find a sense of comfort in knowing that there's something beyond. But in day to day, the experience is that we do get caught aware, and there is that challenge that sometimes may allow myself to go, yeah, what if? I'm actually talking a bunch of nonsense right now because listening to you talking just settles my mind at ease completely.
yeah,
But I do at the same time feel that there is even though we feel a sense of doubtlessness, there's a sense of conflict that somehow tends to creep in.
Mm.
You know, the what if business. I feel comfortable right now because I'm in your space, Werner. Thank you. But I can feel it around it with my friends. I can feel. I have the sense that it's almost like people's tolerances. You can feel people's levels of tolerances sort of bound by their levels of fear, and so that what I don't fear, somebody else has a great sense of fear, and we're all being confronted, we're all being challenged so strongly at the moment.
Yeah.
I cannot make any judgments about anything because all of us, I feel, are in different places. And we're all being challenged in terms of how much can we tolerate within our own level of fear, and then how we react within that space. Mm. And I find it incredibly fascinating. I've never seen anything like this unfold before me, ever in my life. I see it with my friends. I see it with my colleagues. People that once used to be, oh, happy. All of a sudden, everybody's at different levels. And so the dynamics of interpersonal relationships have changed so interestingly. And I think it's a fascinating time. And I just wondered, what thoughts did you have on that? I mean, I'm just sort of going, boo, reacting to an invitation from you about the sense of doubtfulness and doubtlessness.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating and challenging and incredibly intriguing. And I thought, what thoughts do you have on this matter?
Right. Well, you have brought to actually thought about doubts, but this there are two different kinds of doubts. You can have a lot of doubts what is going on in the world, how you should react, how you should play the game, and these doubts, they don't really affect you deeply. Of course, if we get completely overwhelmed and then make them bigger and bigger, the story more and more important, then they can be quite overwhelming. But the doubts I have been talking before that really drain us is that doubt about, is it at all worth try to be conscious? That the doubt that that little effort to even to remind us to connect, whether it's useful or useless, that one is really handicapping. Now, all the doubts about how to deal with this Maya game, of course, every situation will bring a question with it, and for a moment we doubt, should I do this, should I do that? A basic rule of thumb, a basic rule of thumb is that we have to learn not to take our role in it, nor the whole story, so damn serious.
That's right.
Then we can go about it much more playful.
Yeah. Either.
And then in the present situation, you said you have never experienced anything like this, right? Of course. I think nobody has. A situation like this hasn't been there in history, in known history, that something is so fundamentally different that the whole world stands still practically for some time. It has never happened. It was getting worse and worse and running worse and worse, and now this has done something to people's mind. Many have also a bit seen, hey, come on, what were we doing all the time? Running, just running after work, more money, and for what? When we can also spend our time and be reasonably happy simply to be without doing much. And there is a shift in energy that is happening in this world.
Yes.
And it affects people in different ways, so it's very intriguing, you're right. Now, each one has to know for themselves in each situation, how much am I going into the world, play the game, play alone, how much am I staying out of it. If we want to move in society, we have to adjust to some degree. Otherwise, we are getting into trouble all the time. So it makes sense to adjust, but we don't have to just run along whatever we are being told without just checking first with ourselves whether this feels right to do so. So basically, the most important thing is that we are at ease with ourselves, how we are reacting, that we can be really okay with it. That I'm reacting like this to this situation, I'm doing that. If we are okay with that, then that gives us a stable foundation, much more than doing things the way that people expect them to come from us. The more that okay comes from within, then the more we are at ease, at peace, and can go about it playfully. And whatever we are doing, some people will like it and some people will not like it.
Well, the thing is that, you see, I feel incredibly comfortable throughout this time.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me feel out of place, because around me, people get a sniffle and they're getting tested. People are getting this and and people are running around and they don't want to meet you. They don't want to talk to you because everybody's so afraid. I feel really comfortable. I'm not afraid of this virus or whatever, because it's like being afraid of a cold, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't feel unsettled by it.
Yeah.
But in that not feeling unsettled by it and me feeling relaxed, going about my business, being quite relaxed, talking to people, encouraging people, and everybody's going, oh, don't get close to me, don't get close to me. It's like, and they're going, okay, I won't get close to you, but I'll still smile at you, kind of situation, you know. And it's like, I feel out of place because I feel so comfortable, because I'm not afraid. I'm really not afraid by it. You know? And I guess the teachings that I have received and the awareness that I have been blessed by, you know, the knowledge of Maya, the understanding, the teachings of Ramana, the understanding of that different place that you can see things from. I remember Ganesh, listening to Ganesh when I was just back in Tiru in February, saying, you've got to change the angle of vision, he says.
Yes.
You know. So I changed the angle of vision, so I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
But by not being afraid, all of a sudden around you, you just see this different, you know, and it's like you feel out of place because you're not afraid.
Yes.
That's what I find the interesting experience myself.
Right.
And yeah.
But at the same time, if you are at ease with yourself, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
But it's true.
It doesn't matter.
The more you are natural, the more you are at ease, at peace, the more it seems that you are estranging from the usual way how this world is functioning.
I know.
But at the same time, you still feel connected. You feel the connection, and it doesn't matter whether
that's right.
The thing that usually makes people suffer, that nobody understands me, and why don't they understand me, that goes away when you are at ease with yourself.
I'm at ease with myself. I guess the sadness is the unfortunate feeling of disconnection, because everybody has to stay away. And that's just part of this process, Werner. I feel comfortable, but, you know, we were supposed to go for dinner with friends last night. They all cancelled because of coronavirus fears.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable, but I miss my friends and they want to stay away. So this is, you know, it's like, okay, I'm fine with that. But at the same time, there's a sense of loss, you know, within the context of the present moment. And I think a lot of us feel that.
Right. But then we can also become, sorry.
We spread the love and the understanding. But I guess what I'm trying to share is that for as much as I feel comfortable with all of this, at the same time, I do feel that sense of loss, and it does hurt. It's not draining me. It's not hurting me, but I do feel it because I think it's a pity, you know, there's an element of sadness, and that's just part of, I guess that's just part of the song that we're going through right now.
Right.
And I'm aware of it, and I guess it's just a tender spot, and there's a beauty in it, there's a sadness in it, and I'm just feeling it. I'm just being part of that process. It's a nice feeling. It's a hurtful feeling. It's a nice feeling, and I'm just going through it. That's all. You know, that's all. And I've learned that from you, by the way. Just to be in the moment, see what it feels like, and experience it. And I guess I'm sharing this with you because that's what I'm going through, and I'm just sharing with everybody what you've been bringing to attention. Just be in that moment, experience it, and let's see what happens. Thank you for that.
Oh, somebody who came in, please mute your microphone. You are interfering. Okay.
Okay,
right.
Werner, I don't want to take over the whole thing. Just wanted to express my emotions and my thanks to you because it's quite important that you're here for us. And we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, huh?
That's right. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
The sun always shines in the morning, even behind the clouds.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
Hariom. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Who would like to talk about something? Please come. Well, the subject Victor has been talking about, of course, it's in one way or another in everybody's mind around the world now. What is all this? How to deal with this? And especially fear. I thought it might be over, but when I have been communicating with people from America or Europe, then I was told, no, it's not. There was a peak, everybody was totally afraid, and then it reduced, and then somehow, as there have been more infections again, the fear again rose also. And it's great if one can, like Victor described, not connect, not get sucked into that stream of being afraid. But still, one will confront the fear all the time and feel how the atmosphere is quite full of it. It's amazing. It's amazing. There is a virus. There have been viruses all the time. People have been dying from them. And now, this time, there is that virus, the possibility that one can get infected, the possibility one could die from it, and creating a tremendous fear. And how to deal with it is with one's own fear, as usual, with strong emotions. Instead of fighting with it, watch it, experience it. See what it is doing right now in the body, energetically. That helps us to detach from the subject that brought the fear about, and we are directly aware of what it is doing here now. And from here, we can learn to relax. And in that relaxation, the emotion cannot more sustain itself. It will fade away if we are not nourishing it. But then, even if one is capable of not holding on to fear, not feeling afraid, not actually seeing a reason to be afraid, still we will confront a lot of fear simply because there is so much fear going on. So much fear is there in the world now. It was always there in one way or another, but now it's really coming to the surface. It's in the atmosphere, and we can deal it in the same way, deal with it in the same way. When we are aware of that fear that is there, instead of resisting against the fact that it's there and think it shouldn't be there, it shouldn't be there, doesn't help anything. It's there. It's not an absolute fact, but it's simply a fact right now in this expression, in this manifestation. And struggling against fact is always misery. So it's better to accept. And then if we are not struggling against the fact that there is so much fear in the atmosphere, then it will also stop having a bad influence on us. Then in spite of that, we can be at ease, at peace, and radiate. Then at least we are not contributing to it, and even on contrary. Everyone can become like a beacon, like a light in the midst of that atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and strange actions and reactions of people. If we can go about it joyfully, at ease, at peace, then everyone can become like a light that others can somehow lean on to and learn and see that it's not necessary in this situation to get sucked into such a negative way of feeling and thinking and reacting. The basis to not be in conflict with the world, with the mind, with the self, is that we learn to accept the moment as it is, not in weakness, not as a victim. Oh, I'm a poor victim, I can't do anything. No, simply accept things are the way they are right now. On this level, it is as it is. And if we're not resisting, then we have the possibility to bring that beautiful creativity that is there in everybody into the present moment, pour it into that current of time and space. Let that inner beauty radiate. The one who is doing that will feel much better, and it helps everybody else. Is there anybody who would like to talk?
Good day, Werner.
Hello, Klaus.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you about the role of attention, because I feel it's like this morning I woke up and I felt like the mind was heavy, but as the day go on, it has no relevance. Because it's just the mind, so it's nothing more than the mind. And I also one night I was just like a lot of turmoil was going on, and there was a lot of angry noise from the mind going on, but it was no response from anywhere to it. So there was just going on. I just realized that there's something here which is still here without this mind going on, you know.
Yeah.
So that brought me to thinking of, yeah, okay, who are we really? And also that question, what is attention's role in this? And also, is attention also something which is just watched from a deeper place?
No, it's not. It's not an object actually. Attention is that capacity to direct consciousness on something in a certain direction, fix it on a certain point. It's not different from just consciousness, and yet we have that capacity to focus consciousness on a certain level, on a certain subject, on a certain point, on an image, on another sensation. And where our attention goes, there goes a lot of the energy. And if our attention is unconsciously always absorbed in our mental work and going round and round and repeating the same stuff, and we are not aware that our attention is there, but still that's where the attention is locked, then it's like that beautiful store of life force that we have there is just wasted out through that channel, like it's going down the drain there. And if we learn to redirect the attention consciously, to turn it back to that aspect that you have described, that you somehow, even when the mind was a bit crazy, then you were aware that, but it's just the mind, there is something that is not affected by it. And if you can bring the attention back to that, then it's like you are opening the valve, that energy of life and consciousness in its intensity can start to overflow, to overflow in our daily life. So it's like an instrument within consciousness that is itself consciousness, attention. It's that capacity to focus consciousness. There is that pure consciousness, unchanging, always the same, just the essence of consciousness, and consciousness is expressing itself and manifesting on all these different levels. And our attention is that capacity to direct that consciousness, and in a way to create our reality, to create our experience, to create our life with it.
And that hour you are referring to, who is that?
Who is that is directing the attention?
Yeah.
Right. That is what you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The Advaita teaching now often tells you, but there is nobody there. Okay, if you mean that somebody is a person, then you can say so. There is nobody there. But of course, you cannot say there is nothing there. There is everything there. And all the explanations, all the answers you can maybe anywhere get to your question of that who is directing that attention, they are just pointers. No answer will ever really be an answer that explains what you are.
Oh.
That leaves every single one to figure out, not to figure out, to find out for themselves. What is it that does the whole thing? This is the basic question of Ramana. Who am I?
Yeah.
And there is no answer, not an answer that you can say. Of course, you can give answers as pointers, like the traditional Indian answer. They give attributes to that timeless, birthless, deathless. It's Satchit Ananda. It's being, consciousness, bliss. All this is just a pointer of actually already functions of that, already manifestations of that. And there is never finally an answer, so you cannot know in the mind who that is, that who is directing the show. And yet you are that. who is directing that show.
Mm.
And we can come back with the attention to that. The attention can be brought back to its own source. And that's the job in a way. And see what happens.
Yeah. Because it's like a moment of small realizations, and it's like, okay, if there's nothing to do about this and I'm just relaxing into this, there is just it's and it's a beautiful thing because nothing matters then. There's just, and it's not apathy, it's not that I don't care, but it's just perfectly fine as it already is. So it's just like a relaxing into it.
Right. That's it. Relax, 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 relax.
Yeah.
Let's go. Relaxing is nothing else but what the traditions they talk about detach, detach, detach. It's our attachment that is creating trouble. And how do we detach? By letting go, by relaxing, by not holding on to. Not holding on to means let go, relax.
Yeah, it's like a very clear seeing that it's I'm not that, but I'm not rejecting it. I know I'm not that.
Mm. Right, in the beginning you said you can, sometimes you wake up and the mind is all heavy.
Yeah.
And then if you become aware, but yes, that's a certain level, but there is that aspect of you that is not affected by it, then it doesn't stay also. And even as long as it stays, it cannot make you miserable because you are aware that there is something there that is absolutely not affected by it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
more you relax, the more you are getting rooted into that.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes also when the mind is active and I do the self-inquiry, it's just the mind who is pointing to something. It thinks it's the self instead of like that just presence or that being. Yeah, so I thought I would talk to you now, and it's like it's so clear instead of the times when it's not clear. It was good just to bring it forward when it's so obvious.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
And when it's going away, then you don't struggle, get it back, get it back. You just remember it was there and relax.
Yeah.
That's the best invitation that it's come back. It's coming back.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Anybody else would, if you would like to talk, please come in.
Good afternoon, Werner. It's Udi.
Ah, hello, Udi. In the car.
I will continue with what I think Klaus, yeah, I'm back from work, about things that it seemed to me that Klaus spoke about there. Can you speak something about the difference between the primary belief of us, that there is something that moves everything, and our connection to knowledge, which is more intellectual portion to explain everything, but sometimes it seems to me to interfere with the primary belief in the primary source of everything.
Okay, as long as it is just a belief in that source, then of course it's also something intellectual. And then all the modern knowledge often has been contradicting all our beliefs on that level. But the more this is not a belief, but the more you start to taste it. Yeah, hey, there is something prior to all my mental mechanisms, to all my doubts, to all the explanations that we can come up with, then at least for you personally, it stops interfering with that, because it's not simply a belief. It's more certainty that gets stronger and stronger when you get more and more little tastes, little glimpses of something totally prior to all this struggling for external knowledge. As long as it's only belief, then the knowledge and the belief, they are a bit on the same level, and they will fight with each other. Sometimes you can hold on more to the belief, and then sometimes then comes the mind and reasonable logical explanations, and the belief gets shattered. But if you start to really not get stuck on the level of the belief, but you turn your attention back to the self and start to relax and start to consciously get at least moments where you just have not a doubt about something so totally primordial that is there, right here, now, timeless, always with you, then it's not simply a belief. Then you have more and more a certainty that this is really there, and all else is just trying to struggle to get to come to terms with the expression of it. Actually, the modern science, quantum physics, they start to talk more and more in similar terms, like previous religious teachings have sounded. That also on that level, the contradictions getting less and less.
It looks like sometimes, like the moment that you realize that there is the possibility of the timeless present, that even the present time can be timeless.
Yes.
This is the feeling of the belief that I think that I'm speaking about. And knowing, totally different.
Right. Knowing by the same thing by direct experience, or what do you mean?
Yeah. Knowing it's for me understanding, using the mind, using the
right.
instrument that I have,
right,
instead of the feeling, the deep feeling.
Right. The mind, of course, as our problems are all on the level of the mind. So we start on the level of the mind. We start to think about, we start to accept the possibility, but then somehow this is just the starting point, and then we have to learn to keep that mind quiet sometime and just relax in that, and there comes something up that is stronger than the concept in which you believe, or a concept of which you think you know, because you become aware it's prior to that. It's that which is there all the time. Before we start to think, before we start to doubt, before we start to question, before we start to build up knowledge and understand and know and build up all our world views and whatever comes out of it, there prior to that, there is that sense of being, that sense of presence. And it's there with everybody, and everybody unconsciously is diving again and again into that. Otherwise, we couldn't continue existing. But as long as we are totally oblivious of it, then it makes sense that we bring the attention back and start to connect with that consciously. And then it starts to change the whole perspective. Because, right, you said a feeling, and it's a feeling, but it's more than a feeling, and there is no proper word for it. The language is getting short of it. So we can call it a feeling, but it's a direct recognition of something that is prior to time, prior to all the worries that we're creating in the time-space continuum.
Thank you so much.
You're just coming from work now, or you're going to work?
I'm coming back from a long night.
I see. Oh, yeah. Then have a good rest.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hari Om, Uri. Hari Om.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to come in is welcome. Today nobody wants to talk. You want me to have a talk, give a discourse. But I think it makes sense then when we talk about things that emotionally touch you, that is more useful than just giving talks. I mean, it's all right. Those who like to go and give talks, they do a good job. But I prefer that we are in a communication.
Werner?
Yes, hello, Helen.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
Oh, quite fine.
I get the sort of questions disappear during this time with you, and connectivity comes back. So I think a lot of a lack of questions is that they just get answered in this time of being with you. But there is something about just wanted to sort of, it's just on my mind, is, you know, we talked about the fear that arises, this climate of fear with COVID.
Yeah.
And it's really the way I see it is like, if there wasn't belief that we are the body, then this fear wouldn't exist. But this is very easy to invite away this idea, I am not the body, you know, neti. But it's such a strong, it's a fundamental, deepest belief that there is, and in a way, how to navigate that, because I see that when I look at the fear, it's all body based. It's all based on the concept, and the same for everybody with the COVID time. It's based on the body. So how to deal with this fundamental belief, I am not the body. I mean, how to deal with the belief I am the body.
Yeah, the fundamental belief I am the body. Well, it's a tricky situation that, okay, the traditional Vedantic approach, one way how they have to be have been going about is neti. I'm not the body, but not only that, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the prana, I'm not this, I'm not. It's not a definition of truth. It's just a way to go about of detaching level after level and trying to come back with the attention to the essence. Now that deep-rooted belief that I am the body is there because that belief is neither completely right nor completely wrong. Because as long as you are manifesting as a human on this level, then your appearance is tied to your body and you're experiencing the body. You know, when your body pains, you can more and more be empathic and feel how other people feel, but if somebody pinches the neighbor, you don't feel it like when somebody is pinching your body. The thing is that you are not simply the body, but you cannot say that the body is apart from the self. The body is an expression of yourself on this physical level. But as long as we are so totally identified with it, then people think that that's all I am. I am this person, I am this body, basically. And many people think that the capacity to be conscious, the capacity to think, to feel, is just a physical function. It's some outcome of the nervous system and the brain and something. And so, of course, if that belief is there, then the fear must be even greater. But if you start to examine, if you start to inquire, if you start to sincerely observe, you become aware, okay, this body is there, this body is a wonderful instrument, but if you really bring your attention to the present and relax, then even the body somehow, even the feeling of a body, even the experience of a body simply disappears and you're still there. How to deal with that basic identification, I am the body? You can only deal with it for yourself. And if somebody comes to you and asks what to do with it, then you can give pointers and can help them. But you cannot go out and tell people don't identify with the body. You are not the body. They will throw stones after you. That readiness has to be there, that we become aware, hey, come on, this is just a role we are playing. This is just a character. This body is the channel through which we connect on this level in this theater with the other characters.
Mm.
But for oneself, we can very well become aware, hey, although this body is a fantastic instrument, this combination of matter and consciousness, of energy, is such a fantastic possibilities how the experience can unfold in an intensive way. That's actually the body. The body is the temple. All the external temples, they are just imitations of a human body. The most powerful temple in this world is the human body. But of course, if we start to worship the body, put it in the sanctum sanctorum, then it's at the wrong place. The body is the walls of the temple. And you are the deity in the temple that should be worshipped. Each one can for oneself learn to bring the attention to the present and relax in that, and that awareness, not simply a belief, then the awareness becomes more and more, but I am there prior to the body. And even if the body dies, I'm there. That doesn't affect it. The person the role that I'm playing may go, may be finished. One act finished in this theater, but I am not also that person. That person is simply the role that I'm playing through this body, with this body, in this theater of this time-space manifestation in this world. The more you bring the attention to the timelessness of the now, the more you become aware that you are not simply that is just a temporary expression of you. And the more you become aware of that, the more you lose any fear. Still, in a moment when it's painful, then there will be a reaction. Then either we do something and get out of pain, or we get out of the body and the whole story is over. But the fear is that this story is over, and then what happens then? And when the belief is there that there is simply nothing, in a way, this also should not make afraid. If it's over, it's over. So then, what's the big deal? But those who believe that the life is over when the body dies, funny enough, are afraid of that. But if you think that everything is finished, then that shouldn't make you afraid either. Because, okay, then also the pain is gone. Then nothing is left. You cannot preach the public to detach from that attachment of the body if they don't want to hear it. But you can do it for yourself. And the more you do it, you can awake the inspiration in those people who come in contact with you. That there is, deep down, everybody knows there's something prior to all this. How could we not know? Because everybody is that. However much the mind is buried into its own mechanisms, its own workings, however much that mind is totally attached to the me person and the antibody and the role that we are playing, deep down, everybody knows, hey, there's something prior to that, something indestructible, something that simply cannot possibly be in fear of anything. And yet, on the conscious level, people hold on to that, hold on to that. We can only deal with our own and deal with the confrontation with what is happening. And that is the best influence that we can give. And then others will be inspired to also do that. Somebody who likes that approach, that's okay, an approach, but we can always be aware it's not a statement of truth. It's just a way to go about it, to detach. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. If that helps, fine. But it's not really the truth, because I'm not simply the body, but the body is a momentary expression of the self. Body cannot be really apart from the self or different than the self. It's simply just a little expression of it. And as long as we are identifying, we think that's all there is. And that, of course, is extremely limiting and fearful. The more you are here now, the more you are aware of that sense of presence, the more these identifications sees, but still you can be aware there is a body. It's a good instrument. Nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. As long as it lasts. But I'm prior. I'm prior to that.
Thank you, Werner. As you speak, I felt deeper and deeper connected, and yeah, I just asked myself, who am I?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hario. You're
Hayo.
welcome. You're welcome. Is there anybody else who would like to talk? Please come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello. Ah, hello.
Hi. Yeah, it's a bit dark here, but
Yeah. What's your name again?
Leora.
Leora. Right.
So this has been very inspiring until now. It seems like everyone is talking somehow about the same something, because it's not an idea. So I wanted to share my experience about what you just said so many times before and today. 15 years ago, I became sick with breast cancer.
Yes.
When I sat with the doctor just before I had to start all the treatments and everything, I said to him, well, it's not the end of the world if I die. And right away I realized what I was saying, and then I said, well, of course it's not, I may die, but of course it's not the end of the world. I mean, the end of maybe this body's life. So it came back now, this memory, very strong. And I don't know how this has influenced my life since then, realizing this as it came as a truth at that moment, a very clear truth. So now when Helen was talking about who am I, and I mean, I have these questions also, of course, and this body is not me, and then who am I, and what do I do here, and then I just thought about how recently with the COVID it's so complicated, and people talk about knowledge, also knowing. Then I wonder what knowledge is in relation to COVID. I mean, and how can it help us? It doesn't seem to help us until now. People seems like some people seem to know things, and so it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But what I just wanted to say is that, as I mentioned here some few meetings ago, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, that there is something about how this situation now, specifically in Israel is collapsing altogether, not only because of the COVID. and how the feeling of the present has been so strong for me, and it has been so supporting to reduce the amount of suffering for myself and for other people around me, and to be more and more generous and less judgmental, and just accepting.
Less and less judgmental.
Yes.
Yeah,
Less,
yeah.
About myself, about other people, because it really feels like sometimes it might be the end of the world, I mean, or the end of Israel. It's really a very, very deep and serious crisis in the whole world, and in other places also, and in Israel very much. So, and it feels so tricky to hold all the things you have been talking about and all the questions of the people, like knowledge and being in the present and awareness, consciousness, and this body is not mine. So just sharing this, and also just wanted to thank you so much, because these times are like very sane and compassion, yeah, full of compassion, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for that.
So that means also you are not more afraid that when that this life will once be over.
Sometimes I have this fear that takes over. I went to Jerusalem this week, and I was afraid a little bit, and I was like, kind of, don't get near to me, and putting the mask and taking off the mask and all that. And there were times when I said to myself, are you not afraid that you get sick and you die? Are you not afraid? And then the fear went away, and also I can't answer your question. I don't know. Sometimes I have these moments of very, very deep, I think I told you about it, very deep fear of death. Like, then I get sort of crazy, but it goes away.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay with me.
Right.
So I can't answer your question. There are layers.
That's already a great thing, that basically it comes just in waves. Then it's just an emotion that comes for a time, and you see it, and it goes again. Then it loses its power, even if sometimes it comes back. That's bound to do so, bound to come, as long, I mean, as long as we live here in a human form, a speck of attachment is there to the body, and we need it to survive. After all, we somehow had to feed also this body. Somehow we have to play our role. A speck of attachment is there, and momentary fears may come. But if we just see them, if we don't hold them, if we don't keep them and increase them, then they are not a problem. Then for moments it may come, that fear of death, and then you look at it and it goes again. And if that happens like this, it's not a problem. It's only when it's there underneath all the time, digging, nagging, and then it's draining people and making life a hell. If that is not there, then no problem.
Yeah. Actually, sometimes it's a relief. I've realized that my relationships with money, for instance, went through a whole revolution, because I realized how short life is, and I mean, money is just here to serve my needs, and then if I can give somebody also money sometimes, that's great also. So I'm not telling you that I want to die now.
Yeah.
Of course not, but it doesn't rule my life. That's what I can. The fear doesn't rule my life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Great.
Actually, the opposite in a good.
If we confront consciously the possibility, well, the certainty that this form once is over, and stop resisting against the fact but accept it, then you're right. Then that acceptance is totally relaxing.
Yeah. Right. It's true. It's not an illusion, this sense of accepting. It's not an illusion. Sometimes I have the doubt, you know, maybe it's an illusion, another illusion. I mean, it is an illusion in the biggest respect, but yeah, it is very relaxing. Right?
Right. I'm coming back to that all the time. Relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. On all the levels. With every problem we have to confront, if we can somehow remember to relax in the midst of it, everything goes so much easier.
Right. Absolutely right. But I
Whether,
always remember, not, yeah.
whether it's a problem externally, a difficult situation with other people, with others, with things, with circumstances, or whether it's a tension that we have built up in the mind and it's circulating in our own microcosmic system. If that memory comes, and instead of trying to solve the problems and being eager to do the super best right thing, if we start first to relax, then everything is becoming often simple and easy that looked very complicated.
This is so much against the nature of the human race, because we want to have control. We want to believe that we have control over things. If I do so and so happens. But realizing more and more that I absolutely have no control, specifically when it's about other people or anything, the weather, the government, I really have no control. So then I go back to all I can do is really to relax and also to do good in the world. I mean, that's what I can do, just letting go.
Right. Letting go, letting go. Sometimes it's misunderstood about this, just letting the things happen, that it becomes a fatalistic way, and then also that spark gets lost. But we can just let things take their course, and at the same time bring our creative beauty and spark into it.
Yeah.
The two go together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you can still hear me, because
thank you so much.
I didn't hear you anymore and your picture froze. But
I could hear you. I just said thank you so much. That's what I said.
Okay. You're welcome. Hari-Om.
Hari-Om.
Well, if there is anybody else who now suddenly wants to come in, you're welcome. Otherwise, it's to my surprise. It's already time that we would end today's satsang. Okay, then I'm going to turn off the recording.